Hello and welcome. My name is Hannah Powell with Compass Real Estate and ParkBench.com, and I am delighted to be here today with Sterling Stone, who is the founder of Gearing Up here in Eckington. So, Sterling, tell us a little bit about Gearing Up.
Well, yeah, so Gearin Up was founded in 2012. We are a completely nonprofit community bike shop. We came to be in this area because we wanted to be on a trail. So we had an original location about a mile and a half away, but we wanted to be near this great community amenity, one of the only through DC bike trails in the entire city. So we wanted to be here. I came into a great little space, and we've been here for 7 years now. We can do full service repairs. We do have refurbished bikes for sale. We'll fit you, we'll size you up. We have adult classes, but our real focus is youth. Most of our staff are actually youth interns that come to us through various high school programs or the summer youth employment program, or they just come in on their own because they just love bikes. And so we provide a safe space for them, but we want to teach them something while they're here. So we give them skills to become bike mechanics. We employ about 9 kids through the wintertime. And number goes up to about 20 in the summertime. You'll see all of the kids that either just hang out here for youth nights on Thursday, riding their bikes, popping wheelies out in the front, on the trail, giving everyone a little extra gray hair. But we're here to teach them, the skill sets they need to not only maintain their bike, but also some safe riding techniques and how to do group rides and all that fun stuff. We also want to help place them into jobs. So what of that job is being a mechanic at one of our for-profit partner shops, like your REIs and your fancy bicycle spaces and that kind of thing. We'll also help place them in internships at DDOT or at WABA, or someplace that is equity transportation focused. Our idea is to not just give them the skill sets or a bike, but have them actually be contributing members with a viable skill set to be able to contribute to the greater community.
That's fantastic. What inspired you to start up Gearing Up?
It's really interesting. I was not a bike person, and still don't consider myself a bike person. I do ride bikes now, but I hadn't ridden a bike when we came up with this idea. I have an education background, and I really saw, and along with one of the other founders, Katie Lupo, saw that there was a void in what and how we teach. We don't teach in schools a lot of hands-on stuff. And whenever we started the program, it was just a program at the Boys and Girls Club. Some of the worst kids in the club signed up, but I saw behavior change.
Yeah.
And when I started to look at the science behind what was going on, it was because it's easy to win. You can come in, you can have a very frustrating bike, your chain keeps popping off, and you turn a screw 3 centimeters. The distance it takes you to turn a screw 3 centimeters is very small, but the knowledge that it takes to know how to do that is very big. When you see the kids make that journey, to know that I just need to turn this, solve my very frustrating problem with a very small fix, but have the knowledge to know how to do that. It was what made us want to start something that was making an impact. And then every time whenever I look back and say, oh, well, maybe this isn't the time for something like this, or this isn't economically viable, the community always, without me even really saying anything out loud, the community always responds. And like winter times are always those kind of times where it's like, maybe we should be like down to one person or whatnot. But then you see the workload that comes in, and the community comes out. That kind of stuff keeps you going. It keeps you motivated. It's excited to be part of someplace, a community that cares about what we do, rather than just running coming to work, showing up, and leaving at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's great. Would you be able to share, say, a success story of one of your kids?
Oh yeah. Oh man. So I think there's quite a few. I think the 2 that come to mind are one is actually back with us after I don't know how many years. So we've been around for 6 years. So he's been around for 6 years as well. He was our first kid. He came into the shop, the first kid that ever volunteered here, did everything. Like I heard stories about this kid, about how bad he was, and I'm like, that kid, any kid that comes in and is like super dorky about brakes, okay, cool. Yeah. I had never seen it. His behavior changed over time. He actually ended up going to technical school to get a degree in actual auto mechanics and working on like heavy duty diesel trucks. And whenever he was done with school, instead of going out to go become like a fancy mechanic, he actually came back to the shop and is now our youth shop manager. It's amazing to see him almost 21 now. Whenever he came in, in high school.
Yeah.
22 now, good
22
Lord.
22 now.
22 now. So it's amazing to see him at 22. Scary that he's 22 now, but to see that journey of him and see his maturity and his just his there's not another way to his gumption for his craft. Another young man, what I like to describe him as the roughest around the edges. You know, he came from a neighborhood. He actually came from the neighborhood that we used to run a Boys and Girls Club in over at Sarson Quarter. When they closed that down, he got displaced and didn't have a place to live for a little bit. Has had numerous run-ins with the law. But like Daquan, the other young man, he took to this bike thing. Did not come in as part of a program. Wandered in because he actually had a bike. He had a bike issue. And he swore up and down whenever he came in that Schwinn Rangers were the best bike known to mankind. They're like Walmart specials, and he just swore up and down. And seeing his evolution of like, I'm gonna build this custom bike and how they trick out their bikes and the styles that they've brought and the knowledge that they've kind of like they've latched into and getting into this bigger community of bike life and figuring out their identity in that. I love watching that kind of evolution of them finding their identity just because they got on a bike. It's not about the bike itself, it's about them finding a piece of themselves that's more important than, you know, two wheels or what color handlebars they have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, that's great. Sterling, what's the best part of your day?
I think, honestly, the best part of the day and working here are the days that I can actually get out and have some time to get out on the trail.
Just to remind everyone, it's the Metropolitan
Branch
Trail.
the Metropolitan Branch Trail.
And the trail runs from
Union Station all the way to Fort Totten now, and in about 5 months it'll run all the way to Silver Spring. The trail is like a highway going through the city. It's really amazing. A bike highway that's for the most part protected. You don't have to worry about cars on it. It's unique, and it's the only one of that kind. There's 4 trails that run through the city. That's the only one that kind of runs as a major connector. But seeing the way that people use the trail, and then seeing the amount of people that use the trail and feel comfortable doing it in multiple ways. So you have people walking to school, riding to work, riding home from work. There's group races. There's a 5K that happens. Like, there's so much stuff that's going on the trail. Everyone's out there. Everyone's on it. And it's an amazing part of this community to be able to see and be able to connect. And that's really how and why we wanted to be here, because it's an amazing place where just everyone comes together on.
Great. So last question, how can the community support Gearing Up?
Well, one, you don't have to be a cyclist to be connected to Gearin Up. We're always doing community events. If you just have time, I always say come down, hang out. I want to teach people. I don't want to just be here and be a bike shop. So if you want to come learn about just like, how do you work with youth? How do you mentor youth? How do you work on a bike? How do your brakes work? That's one way. 2 is whenever you're cleaning out your basements. If you don't find a bike in your basement, then somewhere, some way, somebody already donated it. But we always take donations. If it's bike related, if it works, if it doesn't work, it's rusty, it's clean, it doesn't matter, we'll take it. If it doesn't get used and to get refurbished to give into our youth programs or for our adult programs or for sale, we actually recycle it, so it doesn't end up in a landfill. But we want to make sure that everything stays as relatively green as possible. And if you can't do either one of those, but it's really just cool, as an executive director, I always have to say, I always take your money. So you can always make donations online. You can drop them off to the shop. You can just say, hey, I have this and I want to give. And if you have a question like, I want to give something, I don't know what it is, contact us. We'll figure out the best way that makes you comfortable if you want to give, contribute, and be a part of our bigger community.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Sterling.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us. Again, my name's Hannah Powell with Compass Real Estate, and we're delighted to have had you this afternoon.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.